Alright, Shalom. First off, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Hakudash. I want to give double honors to our apostles and elders of the Great Millstone who well taught us this truth. And a sincere peace and salutations to all the Aki and pushing this word and truth in all sincerity. This is Brother Ganar from DC Church coming back at you with a quick video. As you can see, I'm on the go, so it'll be quick as well. I'm just pondering things in the spirit. Just want to put it on wax as well. I don't really have a topic or a set topic, but just thinking in the spirit, what I want to go into is, your fight will be broadcast. And what I mean by that is, the fight between you and yourself. Like the elder Shema Moff in the DC Church, he always say that we are our biggest Goliath, and we have to overcome our flesh, through the spirit, and that's the fight, because that's the fight that we have, because our flesh is pleased by the things of this world, and our spirit is yearning to be righteous. So that fight is going to be broadcast, and just listening to some of the elder Yashawamba videos, recently, you got to do a lot of reflecting on the demons and the trials that you battle on a personal level. Because ultimately, if you're not conquering these demons, if you're not overcoming your personal trials, it's going to be broadcast. And I was looking at the Elder Pashai video, one of his latest videos, where it says, "Be not a hypocrite," and how the spirit just, through the spirit, just personally knowing that brother. I know he's a top-ranked brother and all the Great Millstone, but personally knowing him, I believe he's a man of the Lord. He's a super spiritual individual, and how he just stumbled across that old video of Gorilla Hebrew Sakari. I'm starting to forget the dude's name, but anyway, how he stumbled across that video was nothing but the Lord, and how he will shed that light upon, how he shed that light upon the demons that Sakari Alazar, which his name is Alazar, was battling, and how it's come to light. Ultimately he didn't conquer his demons. That's why the Lord exposed him, and then also showed him to be a hypocrite as well. And ultimately the message, through the spirit that I wanted to, bring out is your own personal battles. Now, obviously, I could say I ain't dealing with nothing like that. But we all have demons that we're dealing with. Like the elder Yashawamba say, you sit back good, like man, I can deal with what the hell I got, versus, the shit that this dude was dealing with. And ultimately we see that it conquered him. And we see the pride that's still on him, of him not even truly acknowledging it. He's only acknowledging what exposed him, or what he's been exposed of, and he's acknowledging it, but you can see he's not taking accountability, and that's why the Lord is further condemning him, sending that video the elder Pashai's way for further condemnation on the soul of Alazar. But as spiritual men, what we need to focus on is our personal fight. When you read in Romans, where the Apostle Paul basically explains, how his battle, his battle between the flesh and the spirit, and why the scriptures tell us to mortify the deeds of our members. We have to purge out the things that we struggle with. We have to identify our weaknesses and purge it out. and ultimately put our money where our mouth is, because we all have records, we all have YouTube platforms, and however many years you've been in this truth, how many times you've gone to the altar and gave your sacrifice. Your fight will be broadcasted when it's all said and done. And you'll be one of two things. You're going to be a hypocrite, or you're going to be a great man of honor that stood the test of time, that stood for righteousness, and not by way of his words, but by way of his works as well. You know? So, at the end of the day, if you enter this fight, you're in it. You know? It's like the Royal Rumble. You know, you don't want to get taken, you don't want to get thrown off that top rope. Because no matter what, you get thrown off that top rope, you can't act like you was never in it. Everything that we do, our actions, everything follow us to the end. And we know this is a thing of predestination, but we're hoping that we're predestined. We're hoping that we're predestined. That we're those men. And we're experiencing men that's claiming to be the men, but ain't. You know? So the Lord is giving us examples. The Lord is giving us warnings. The Lord is doing everything in his power for us to pay attention. So if you know you're losing your fight, you know you're getting your ass kicked in your fight, you need to identify your weaknesses and attack it head on. And the way you attack it is by way of the scriptures. You read Ephesians, the 6th chapter. You know, and you prepare to put that armor on. And you defeat that demon with faith. That Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, the greatest power there is protecting and fighting with you. Scriptures say, strive for the truth unto death, and the Lord shall fight for you. You see? And that's what we have to keep in our mind. We are on trial. Scriptures say, my son, when I come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation, for tests. We're going to be tested, man. This is our trial. And it will be broadcasted. So everything that we do, everything that we say is we got to give account for. And we don't want to be shamefaced like we see dudes being shamed now. And even it's going to get worse on an even worse level. You know? So that's just something that was, I was pondering on, thinking about, listening to the elders' videos, and just, sitting back and observing Israel, observing your own personal trial and being honest with yourself. And be like, man, the spirit haven't been, lit within me, So you got to beg and pray, fast. You got to do what you got to do for your spirit. Because we know that the Lord is about to approach this place. 1 Thessalonians, the 5th chapter. For we ourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord comes as a thief in the night, man. So we don't need to be told about this. We should be gathering our oils no matter what. And the only ones that you can see being urged to do that is the men of Great Millstone. Because you see the leaders of Great Millstone is imploring you, almost forcing you to do it. But that's it, man. Our fights will be broadcast. Our work is going to be put out there in the public, everyone's. And you don't want to be found with your pants hanging down, man, so to speak. But that's it, man. Lord's willing, to whom this may be for me and reach him. That's just what was in my spirit. With that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, B'Hashem, Yahushua, B'Hashem, Ruach double honors to our apostles and elders of the Great Millstone, who well and taught us this truth. Shalom to the